view gender? Is it a binary of male, female, masculine, feminine? Or are there unlimited gender identities unique to an individual at a moment in time? The social construct of gender and its association with heteronormative power dynamics can create inequalities for those who don't adhere to gender norms. Today we're going to discuss the gender dichotomy dominant in the US and compare it with the more flexible gender spectrum recognized by many Native American tribes. We will look at the negative effects of limiting gender roles and identities for youths living in the US and propose some policy changes in the areas of government, healthcare, and education in order to promote inclusivity and support for gender-expansive youth.
The gender binary in American culture is very rigid compared to the gender binary in the Native American cultures. According to the Open Education Sociological Dictionary, queer theory is described as a theoretical approach that critically deconstructs and challenges binaries such as male and female or heterosexual and homosexual. In America, there have been social and legal sanctions against identifying and presenting as anything other than male or female. In the United States, there is also a lack of widespread awareness and education around genders outside of male or female. America has public, private, and religious schools who all teach different things related to sex, gender, and sexuality. This is a public service announcement to bring awareness to the differences in gender binary between Native Americans and Americans. Considering gender identity in the United States exists on a spectrum, with gender identity referring to whether someone identifies with womanness, manness, or non-gendered identity. To be non-gendered or non-binary, someone must not identify with either male or female. Gender expression refers to how you choose to present to the outside world and the way that you dress and present yourself to others. This can be masculine, feminine, or agender, which means no gender at all, or in particular. This could mean androgynous or something else completely. Biological sex can be defined on a spectrum of femaleness, maleness, or agender. Intersex people also exist, which are people who are born with reproductive organs that are neither completely male or female. Many non-binary people, transgender people, and genderqueer people also identify as agender. In the United States, living outside the gender binary can be socially isolating and institutionally oppressive. According to Forbes magazine, 331 transgender people were killed in 2019. Even more recently, Joanna Metzger, a trans woman from Baltimore, was stabbed to death on Saturday, April 11th, 2020.
The United States gender binary focuses on much more strict gender roles and adherence to typical masculine and feminine expressions. Now, existing outside of the gender binary in the US can be an isolating experience for our gender nonconforming individuals. Now, contrary to this, many Native American tribes have embraced a much more fluid gender spectrum, including the identity of Two-Spirit. Now, Native American Two-Spirit people were female, male, and sometimes intersexed individuals who combined activities of both men and women with traits unique to their status as Two-Spirit people. In most tribes, they were considered neither men nor women. They occupied a distinct alternative gender status and were often believed to be sacred or good luck. Indian Country Today reports that pre-colonized tribes recognized 3 to 5 different genders, and that value was ascribed by a person's contributions to their tribe and their character. Among the Mojave, children were allowed to change gender before puberty, if they preferred. According to Devereaux, those transitioning to female and those transitioning to male were expected to engage in heterosexual relationships based on their new status. Now, this is not to say that all Native American tribes accept Two-Spirit and gender nonconforming individuals with open arms. It becomes problematic to group Native Americans into a homogeneous group when specific tribes have specific laws.
Some policy that could change on the American side of things are gender neutral restrooms, because it would help more people accept gender non-conforming people. Another one would be gender non-specific identification, which would be like on a driver's license, male or female, you could put an X. Some states have already done that. And on the educational side, you could put gender spectrum curriculum, whether it is the mainstream version of gender or the indigenous version of gender. The indigenous version of gender should be put in there, though. Both the history of it and current day, maybe in health class syllabi.
hope that you have a better understanding of gender identity and the need for inclusivity and support for youth living in the U.S.